Hi everybody, welcome to another video at Abraham's Table Farm. Today is the end of April 23rd or something, 4th, something like that. And it's been an incredibly busy week on the farm. We are in our busy season officially. And in the last week, we have gotten a new worker. We've gotten 300 chicks in the mail. We got 4 pigs. We got 4 cats. And we have planted out a ton of things into the garden behind me. So it's been a really busy week, and it's not really going to let up in the next week coming up. Jed, who's been with us for 5 years, managing a lot of the office stuff, the deliveries and order processing, he will be moving on to newer pastures. So he'll be leaving us this weekend. Our next worker is coming next week, and then a huge push to get more and more plantings done. I forgot to mention in that also that all of our egg-laying birds went out into pasture this week. So they're now on pasture, and all of the egg-laying chores are done out on pasture in the mobile coop, which is exciting because that improves the quality of our eggs and the nutrition of the eggs. And it also starts to put fertilizer on our pastures and kickstart all of that growth. We really want to optimize growth around here. We want to have fast-growing, healthy plants that are extremely nutritious, and that all means that the soil has to be properly prepared, which is what we're doing here in the garden, and the pasture has to be manured by animals. So we are getting that going this year now that the animals are out on pasture, which is exciting. Growth is starting here now. The weather has officially turned. Hardly any freezes left. We might have a few light frosts, but not much. And grass is turning greener every single day. Days are longer. The sun is coming up much earlier and going down much later than it did earlier in the winter and the spring, and all that contributes to the growth. So we are ready for it, but we also have some challenges ahead of us and some growth that we need to do as workers and farmers in order to be ready and prepared to steward all that growth and channel it and keep it going in really healthy ways that produce abundant food for our customers and a healthier and healthier soils here on the farm, so that we can continue into the future providing that food for our community. So that's our big challenge, is to just hang on during this busy season, to transition away from Jed and experienced workers to the new team, stay on top of the work, and ride this spring wave into the busy summer. We do have a few harvests going on. We've got spinach in the high tunnels, that stuff all wintered over. Lettuce is coming, but not quite ready yet. So spinach, it's nice to have fresh greens, and we are cooking them in a lot of things. We encourage you to do that as well. But mostly it's prep around here. Only a tiny bit of harvest, mostly prep. So I'm not going to talk too much standing here in the garden. Behind me, you can see we put down some tarps. Those are to keep weeds at bay. Weeds are starting to sprout in the garden, and since we're not using these beds, we put down a tarp to keep those sprouting things from photosynthesizing, blocks the sunlight, kills off those weeds when they're small until we're ready to use those beds. We have got plants here under row covers. You can see Jed and Josh are out there transplanting right now. But yeah, staying on top of the weeds and putting more and more plants out in the garden is what we're doing here in the garden. I'll show you the chickens out on pasture and the chicks in the brooder and all of that. So let's go see what's going on. These are our onion beds. We've got more of them under those row covers over there, but these just all got transplanted out. As you can see, that's a lot of tiny onion plants, all hand transplanted in the last day or so. We've got some brassicas over here. Everything's tiny right now. Cool nights, cooler days means the growth isn't super fast, but it is coming. More tarping over here to keep weeds down. We've got spinach in some of these high tunnels. Let you see one of those beds. It's a handful of beds. It's pretty bushy right now, but there's quite a bit of it. In the next week or so, it'll probably bolt with the long sunlight and longer days, and then we will just rip it out and replant. But some of the young plantings are coming in, so we should have a consistent harvest of spinach this spring. Jed's planting fennel. Lots of little phytoplankton going into these beautiful brand new beds. We've got garlic coming up here in all these beds. Lots of garlic, thousands of garlic plants. Josh is planting out lettuce and parsley over there. More stuff under the row covers here. Pak choy and more lettuce stuff down there. And then ground sows over here, just peeking up. You can kind of see the rows of plants if you look very carefully. There's weeds in there as well. Here's one. If I get down at this angle, you can see the lines of seedlings just popping up. So several beds of ground sows, transplants over there, more going out further down. The beds are filling up even though you can't really see them from this angle. Probably all the way up past those orange flags there is all filled with little crops that are coming. And chives. The chives are here. Here at this end of our wash stand is our new walk-in coolers. There's 2 chambers, actually, and they're still being worked on, but they're big. A giant box for storing our harvest will be a huge addition to the farm this year. Pretty excited to have all that space in there to hold crops at a more steady temperature and to be able to stand up while we're in there and organize everything better. They're pretty big. We bought these used and we've just been having somebody put them together for us in the last week. They just need a better roof and finish up some of the insulation on the floor and the inside, and then we need to paint them. We're thinking a giant mural on this wall, so if you have any ideas for what to make that into, let us know. It's kind of an ugly big box without some beautiful paint, but it'll be a big improvement over this trailer, which is what we used to keep all of our harvest in. It was jam-packed in the summer. So we're able to do quite a bit more with this giant box, and we're excited to have it. Here in the winter tunnel, you can see it's empty. This is where all the chickens were living during the winter time, but it's all empty now. They are gone. And here's one of the new farm cats. We have locked him into the brooder for his first day or 2 on the farm so that this will really be his home. Sorry, dude. And he'll learn to look for mice in here because we do have a rat problem in the brooder. Well, around the brooder there's some rats. And so we're getting the cats accustomed to living in here. And then under here we have our chicks. These chicks, 300 chicks. Not quite 300, 280. 280 chicks arrived in the mail 2 days ago, and they are doing well. Mortality is very low. Only 1 has died since we got them, and they are staying warm under their heat lamps and hanging out in this brooder. And they will be, once they grow up a little bit bigger, they will move into this other space where the cats are now, and they have a little more space. But for now, they want a nice, cozy, small space with heat lamps and extra protection. So it's fun to have chicks again. And we will keep track of them as they grow up and move out onto pasture and become chicken. But they're healthy and happy and very content in this protected brooder. So the pigs are here. I tried to sneak up on them. They're still a little bit skittish of their new environment. They're pink, like a classic pig is. And they're doing pretty well in this new spot. They've got this pen. They've got the electric fence strand along the bottom edge to train them to it. This helps them to never blaze through it as they scramble away from us or spooked by something, but to only investigate it slowly because there's a more permanent wire fence behind it. So they're slowed by the permanent fence and they investigate. They get the little shock on their nose and they learn very quickly to respect that fence. Once they've learned that lesson for several days and no longer test or even go near the fence, then we'll know we're able to put them out on pasture or into another wooded environment or a brushy area with small electric fences to guide them and keep them in place. So they got to learn that lesson the hard way first before we can let them out. But for now, they're in this end of the high tunnel and they're pretty comfortable. They've already been rooting over there, you can see, and they've got a old busted water trough for a shed, but they're underneath this high tunnel anyways, so it's all dry and comfortable for them. Little trough and this water barrel. It's got little metal nipples on the side, you can see, and they can drink out of those nipples. Ooh, somebody got hit by the fence. They're still learning not to touch that fence, but they'll learn it pretty quickly, and then they'll be ready to go out into pasture. Here we are at the chickens, all out on pasture, finally. These birds are happy to be out here. Immediately going for the cow pies, scratching them out. You can see all these spots that they've been scratching around. There's not a lot of green grass out here, but the weather is fine. They've got their ration, and there is green grass for them to peck at, and plenty of cow pies for them to scratch out from last year. We keep them inside these electric netted fences, mostly to keep predators away, but it also keeps all the birds together. They're all coming towards me because they think I have their afternoon ration, but I don't. But they are out there. Those are the troughs they feed in, and there's their mobile coop. As you can see, it's doing fine. It's got its nest boxes, roosting bars, shade cloth to keep it nice and cool. That's where they sleep at night. So this week we took them all out of their winter housing at night while they were asleep, transported them in crates to that thing, and loaded them onto the roosting bars, and then they woke up in their new home, and they've been happy ever since. So here's a closer look at their mobile coop. Built like a high tunnel with arches and plastic to keep the water and wind out. It's got these roosting bars on the top with bars for them to roost on. And in the middle, it's got their nest boxes. These are their rollaway nest boxes, which if you open, you can see have plenty of eggs in them. Each one of these nest boxes, 4 of them all told, have that many eggs or more in them, which we collect into crates and carry back to the house to package up. There's shade cloth on top so that it doesn't turn into a hot greenhouse inside for them. We can take this off if we want it warmer, or we can roll it up if we want it warmer. And then jack stands on the corners so that we can always have it sturdy and level no matter what kind of lumpy ground it's on. So this thing is pretty light since it's mostly just bars and plastic and nest boxes and roost bars. We have this little dolly thing that we can pull it along with. It's a 2-person job right now, but 2 people come out to do chores, to do all the feeding and watering and egg collecting and coop moving. And it works okay as long as you don't fall into a pothole. We'd like to get a 4-wheeler in the next couple weeks to make this job a little bit easier and make it a 1-person job. But right now, we're doing it the hard way, which is how we start everything. Water is on a float valve up there. And yeah, they're comfortable. They got lots of space. There's Jed feeding them over there, getting their afternoon ration. And as you can see in the pasture, there's a little bit of green coming through. It's not super strong yet, but it's coming along. Mostly a brown yellow pasture, and that will all transform in the next couple weeks. By mid-May, we will have thick grass everywhere. So it's gonna really take off now that it's just getting going and poking through all the dead duff from last year. So that's the chickens. They're on pasture. Pay attention to the egg quality. You'll probably see the yolks get darker yellow. Just everything is going to be better now that they're on pasture, and we're excited to have them there. One of the cool things about our new walk-in refrigerator is that you can go up on the roof and get a really great view of the garden. So there it is. That's the garden as is in April. You probably can't see any of the green stuff popping up in any of the beds, but some are covered. Sprinklers are going up. Almost halfway is totally full of little tiny plantings. There's still space in the back. The high tunnels over there have stuff in them, but the beds outside of them are empty. And in the next couple weeks, we'll fill all that up with vegetables that will be harvested off, pushed through the wash stand, stored in this fridge, and then delivered on to the cities and to all of our community of eaters. So that's where we're at in spring. Still pushing to upgrade the infrastructure like the wash stand. Got to get some new pumps for better water pressure, training in new workers as they arrive, transitioning to the new team, and trying to stay on top of all that growth. Those are the big challenges ahead of us, while bringing on new cats, new pigs, new chicks, and getting going out on the pasture with all the moving coops and fences and everything that goes on out there. So a lot of work, and we got to stay really disciplined and dedicated over the next couple weeks to stay on top of things so that they don't get out of control. Focus on the basics, the fundamentals, keep the weeds in check, get plants out on time, move chores quickly, get through all of the work and stay on top of it. Stitching time saves 9. We talk about that a lot on the farm. Get the weeds when they're small, it takes way less effort. There's a lot of things like that on the farm. To be dedicated and disciplined and do the right thing at the right time makes a huge difference down the stretch. So we're trying to stay faithful, stay disciplined, stay dedicated, and create an abundance for all of our people. And there will be an abundance. You'll see it the next couple weeks. Everything behind me will just be lush with amazing, nutritious, delicious food that will bring people together around tables all over the place to eat together and fellowship and celebrate and enjoy each other's company and build our culture in a healthy way. So thanks for placing your orders. Thanks for signing up for the CSA. Thanks for telling your friends. Thanks for coming out and working. Please continue to watch the progress this year of the farm and tell your friends and keep buying that food and sharing it with your neighbors and having feasts. That's what we like to see. So till next time, see you later. I'm depressing the nipple on the waterer, and they're thirsty. They haven't figured it out yet. But if I stand up, they back off. So they're still getting used to us in their new pen, but they'll figure it out in the next couple hours for sure.